everyone, Old Outdoor Broad here. And in this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Not going to talk about the outdoors per se, but I want to talk about my hearing loss and my hearing journey in general. Two reasons I want to do this. Number one, I know there are people out there with hearing loss. I have a neighbor, as a matter of fact. He's a little older than I am, and he's hard of hearing. He knows it. And he chooses not to do anything about it. So a part of this is I want to encourage people to do something about it. If you have hearing loss, find out what's going on. You're missing stuff. And that's how I feel with my neighbor. I know what he's missing because I missed it for a period of time before I got my hearing aids and started down this path to the cochlear implant. And then that's the other thing. I want to share what's happened with me, how the implant compares with hearing aids, and I'm getting that implant in my right ear in 2 days. So this is kind of the introduction to the cochlear implant process and hearing in general. So with that, let me go ahead and talk about my hearing journey. When I was young, I don't know, around 30 probably, I suffered ear damage due to a gunshot. Someone was teaching me how to use a gun, and he didn't use hearing protection, ear protection, and I was too stupid to know. And one of the weapons, we had a variety of guns, and one of them was a 22, and oh my God, it was awful. And I knew I was in trouble. The doctors at that time, there was nothing to do about it. I did ultimately go to the doctor. It took about a week for the ringing to go away, and my hearing seemed fine. I'm young, right? However, I'm sure it was slightly impaired. Now, as I got older, it started to change and get worse pretty rapidly. Now, a few years back, I was at work and I was talking to a group of people, and one of the gentlemen in the group commented to me, was talking to me, and he was only probably about 6 feet away from me. There wasn't a lot of noise in the room, and I'm looking right at him. I couldn't hear anything he had to say. And that was my wake-up call. That was when I said, you know what, I can't do this. I can't be talking to people, and the truth is, not having a clue as to what went on. And another thing I would toss out there, if you think people don't know that you're just, okay, yes, nodding and smiling, I would say, think again. So that was when I pursued hearing aids, finally. And I say that because you know what? The reason I didn't before, obviously, I knew I wasn't hearing well, but I also had pride. It's kind of this sign, symbol, whatever you want to call it, that you're getting old, right? Old people have hearing aids, or those long things you would see in old movies or in cartoons. So I got hearing aids, and that was obviously a big, big improvement. But over the years, my right ear got worse and worse and worse, to the point that one of my last appointments with my audiologist before I went forward to pursue the cochlear implant, the gentleman just cranked up the volume in my right hearing aid, but I could understand, I think, less than 20% of what was coming in. So ultimately, all that did was crank up volume for noise. So I stopped wearing my right hearing aid. Now, hearing aids are programmed to the individual ear, to the needs of the ear. So that right hearing aid was programmed to give a lot of volume. And my left hearing aid was programmed more towards the right amount of volume, but some pitch and tone issues, because in my left ear, I understand about 96%. So I don't have the same amount of damage in my left that I had in my right. So that's my basic hearing journey. And I'll just keep you posted on how the implant is going. I do want to tell one quick story, and this is an outdoor story. Again, in an attempt to encourage people who are struggling with hearing loss to take a look at what can be done to help you. So anyway, this is a couple months ago. I was oh, and you know what? Let me interject one other thing here. I'm sorry, I forgot this, but I mentioned I stopped wearing my right hearing aid a while back. Well, right before this camping trip that I'm going to tell the story about, my left hearing aid broke. And it broke in such a way that it was going to have to go back to the factory to be fixed. And that was going to take a couple weeks and probably cost me a few bucks. So I decided, you know what? The cochlear implant is on the horizon. I know I'm going to be getting it. So I'm just going to take my right hearing aid and put it in my left ear and use that and up to the point of the implant. I figured I could get by. Now, as I mentioned, that right hearing aid is programmed for a lot of volume. It's too much volume for the left ear. So that's the first issue with this. Things are just really loud, loud and trebly. And that creates its own hearing issues. But again, it's just an interim measure. So I'm just doing that while I get to the implant. So anyway, I'm out camping and I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm by myself. There's no one else around me, and I'm by myself camping. And in the evening, as the sun is going down, I see this coyote go by, right? Crosses the road and got a picture of it, kind of stopped to look at me. And I looked at him, and then he went on his merry way. So, anyway, later that night, it's dark. I'm sitting around the campfire. And as you know, when you're around a campfire, all you can see is firelight. You can't see anything in your environment beyond. Well, all of a sudden, coyotes start yip yapping. And they sound like they're pretty close, but the hearing aid is making everything louder than it really is. And it sounds like I'm surrounded by 20 of them, because one of the things this impairment leaves me with is I can't tell directionality. I can't tell where any sound is coming from. So in this case, it sounds like I am completely surrounded by 20 coyotes. Probably they're moving in for the attack. Now, in my heart of hearts, of course, I know they're just coyotes being coyotes. I also know there's probably only 2 or 3 of them. There's not 20 of them. And that's my intellect. But the feeling, because of the perception, is like I am surrounded by 20 coyotes and they're massing for an attack, right? Anyway, I can't see, so I get up and I step away from the fire. I turn on my headlamp and I shine it around. And lo and behold, about 20 yards away to the west, I see these 2 eyes glowing in the dark. And they look at me and then they, and run off. And they got progressively quieter. But that's what hearing impairment and hearing loss does. You lose some ability. And that, to me, was a pretty clear-cut example of me misperceiving what was really going on. See, the question is, in real life, what are you missing that you don't know? What are you misperceiving that you never have the opportunity to realize that you're actually not getting the information properly? So again, I'm going to keep everyone posted on how the implant goes. It takes place in 2 days. So I'll be back after the surgery when I feel like getting back and making videos. And again, please, if you are experiencing hearing loss, probably something can be done and you won't regret having that done. I can pretty much guarantee just the hearing aids made a huge difference. And I'm really, really looking forward to being able to report how the implant is making a difference. With that, that's all I got. Don't want to take up any more of your time. As always, thank you for joining me. And I will be hearing you in the old outdoors. Thanks again.